Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome to you all. Thank you for joining us for today's workshop. My name is Rishal Fernandez, and I'm a part of Bambacon, an equity crowdfunding platform for tokenized securities. We are on the hunt for very exciting startups with groundbreaking solutions who can actually benefit by coming onto our platform and reaching out to a wider audience. Startup founders, investors, or any other stakeholders can be a part of our platform. We are sector agnostic and believe that today every sector is being revolutionized by technology. The food tech sector especially continues to be one of the most active in terms of investments globally, as more number of investments have flown into these startups in 2020 than in 2019. The restaurant and food tech industry has gone years worth of tech adoption in just a matter of a few months in the MENA region, and businesses have experienced more of a 60% decrease in dine-in customers in the first quarter of 2020. While the pandemic decimated the restaurant industry, we saw the companies adapt and communities rise to help. Prior to the pandemic, one of the trends to look out for was the rise of equity crowdfunding platforms. And equity crowdfunding today has certainly taken off, especially in the food tech sector. More companies have actually decided to crowdfund as they believe that it not only allows them to raise money, but also drives customer brand awareness and also advocacy. The food tech sector today aims to adapt to the changing times, and we can't wait to explore how technology can be leveraged to create efficiency and sustainability in this space. Today, we are hosting a workshop on evolution, potential, and opportunities in the food tech space. And we would love to hear from our esteemed panelists on more. I'd request each of our panelists to give a brief introduction about themselves. Over to you, Mohammed.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mohammed, and I've spent about 2 decades of my life in the corporate world, working with some of the biggest brands in the world and several of the leading companies here in Bahrain. I gained a wide experience in various industries during these years in FMCGs, telecoms, banking, automotive, insurance, hospitality, and a bunch of others. So it was a great experience. In addition, I went on to setting up my own businesses in F&B, real estate, consultancy, and technology. Overall, passion is really has always been my fuel for moving forward. And most recently, my love of technology led me to start up a tech startup aimed at simply solving problems using technology in various industries that I gained firsthand experience in. Food and beverage is one of them, and it's one I have ventured into for about 7 years. And owning a restaurant, I experienced a lot of challenges. And given these challenges and pain points, I saw that there was an opportunity, and hence we created a platform that I'll take you through later on today. So I'll hand over to Tahir.
Thank you, Mohammed. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Rochelle, and the team for having us on today. Just very briefly about myself. I used to be someone in the corporate world, and about 9 years ago, I decided I just don't want to do this forever, and I left. And I wished that everyone else could taste my mom's food, so I started up Moti Roti, which I'm so proud of as a local brand in Dubai that made Pakistani food cooler and more accessible to non-Pakistanis. And this journey into startups and food led me to food tech and food delivery. Around 2 years ago, around 2018, Kareem had just gotten into food delivery. And at that time, I was recruited by them to help them expand their food delivery business in the region. So I come to this panel from hopefully from all sides, a consumer, a founder, and also someone who's been on the aggregator side. And I hope whatever I share today is useful for everyone. Thank you. Over to Martin.
Hello, and thanks a lot to Tahir, and of course to Rashil and to Mohammed. And it's nice to be part of this panel. My name is Martin. I've been in the Middle East for 16 plus years. My background is in hospitality. I used to be a hotel GM until I got fed up with it and started my own consulting company in the hospitality and F&B space. I am a startup mentor also in this field. I have accompanied on their journey a number of food tech undertakings from their infancy to bigger launch. I'm also a founding member of the UAE restaurant community, which started during the lockdown earlier in 2020 and brought together a large number of restaurateurs and branches across the UAE to coordinate the response to the coronavirus downturn in business. And well, as a consultant, I work with mostly small and medium-sized companies in this field, a lot of family-owned companies. And yeah, so while I haven't run my own restaurant, I have certainly spent enough time in kitchens and with people running restaurants. And of course, I'm a keen eater, as well as a technology freak. So this is what I believe qualifies me to be part of this panel.
Thank you for introducing yourself. So just a little housekeeping before we get started. If you have any questions during the workshop, you could please kindly type them into the chat box and we will address them towards the end of the presentation for a quick Q&A. So are we ready to get started with the question answers? Okay, so my question to Mohammed is that the food tech space in the Middle East has been growing rapidly. How big is this market, and is this market growing exponentially, or is everyone out there wanting a slice of the pie, which is more or less constant?
Well, Rachel, the growth is indeed very impressive in the food tech space here in the Middle East. And that's, I believe, to several factors. For example, the fact that we've been really behind the rest of the world for a very long time is a key factor because it's raised a long way where we can actually grow and develop. And we've seen concepts that were new. We've seen concepts that existed abroad and brought in, but in general, the growth was very impressive. The market here has also shown an incredible appetite for all these technologies, both from creator side as well as consumer side. And the success of some have really encouraged many to get out there and try out their ideas. In addition to the role played by accelerators, incubators, and here behind there's been Temkeen, EDB, and the other financial institutions. The guidance and funding and networking that now exists has helped a great deal in giving the opportunity to more innovators. So there are many reasons that continue to validate why this growth. Internet penetration and access to affordable smartphones have also contributed to this growth. Fortunately for us here in the region, both are very high, along with the increased affinity to use technology. In fact, a recent study indicates that about 80% of GCC consumers use food apps now to order food. So that's an impressive figure. Another point in favor is, as you said, is the size of the market. Now, the total food and beverage sales is currently indicated about 145 billion in MENA. And it's set to grow to 171 billion by 2023, which is about a growth of 3.3%. And that's one of the highest growth rates in the world, according to the Gulf Food Global Industry Report. But one of the things that we really need to look at here is that there is the market size, and then there's the tech players that are actually in that market, and what problems are they actually solving? For example, 5 years ago, the number of players we had in the food delivery segment were nowhere near what they are today. Today, just Bahrain alone has about 8 players or so, and we're talking about a small market. So more players in that segment, for example, will help grow. The number of users may grow slightly at a certain point, but ultimately we'll get to a point of saturation, and really everyone's eating from the same pie. But having said that, even within that same segment, there's many more innovations to come. And in itself, that will have a ripple effect on the area, on other areas. Personally, I can't wait to receive my orders via drone or a robot, which it's already happening. So we're going to see more innovations. I mean, imagine one day receiving an order all the way from another country or a continent. So that's going to happen eventually. Sometime, someone's going to create something. Now, with a huge market, what we really need is more growth in solutions to address other areas other than saturated areas in our region. There's a lot of focus on food delivery. There's a lot of focus on online grocery shopping, but there will be evolution in different solutions. And fortunately, we're starting to see this actually happen. But in general, when tech comes in and provides solutions to other problems within this same industry, we can then start to see more growth because we're opening doors to areas that we were simply not really servicing fully yet. So there's plenty of opportunities, areas in dine in rather than dine out, operations, food chain suppliers, food shortage, food transportation, cultured meat, 3D food printing, robotic farming, food waste. The list can go on opportunities. And I believe that by adding more of these different solutions, are we then expanding the market? But till then, yes, we're going to end up eating basically from the same pie. So that in general is my approach.
Like you mentioned that the pandemic has actually aggravated the condition where more technology has been adopted than ever before. So I feel like that has set grounds for innovation taking place in the future in this field. So moving on to Martin. Now, Martin, you've been an industry advisor and have spent over 20-25 years in this sector. So how has the sector evolved? What is the current state of F&B in the Middle East per se, and especially with respect to the technological advancements taking place?
Well, as we've obviously, as we're all aware, the pandemic did have a severe impact on the state of the F&B, not just in the Middle East, but what it has also done, of course, and Mohammed hinted at that, is to drive up the interest in technology. Okay, now I'm not automatically saying it has driven up successful technology adoption, right? Because that is a different story. It has, however, driven up the interest of it. The problem, and that is not necessarily one of COVID. The problem is that we, as an industry, or F&B and hospitality as an industry, are technology keen, but traditionally poor adopters of technology. That is to say, and any vendor of technology solutions will probably agree with this. That we like to get new technology in, but we don't take the time to get to know it and to use it to its full capabilities. And because often our operations are so busy that that we expect technology to just sort of, you drop it in and then you should be able to run with it. Unfortunately, of course, this is not the case. And many of us are then fast to turn around and say, look, I tried this and it didn't work. Okay, but that is not really the fault of technology. That is the fault of us. Okay, as an industry, not taking the necessary time to understand what this piece of technology, whatever it is, can do, what it should do, and what I'm actually paying for. So that's one thing. The other thing is, of course, in many markets in the region and in many sectors, there is now an abundance of players. And whether that is in the food tech space, like Mohammed mentioned, in terms of delivery, and whether that is food ordering up, so it is now last mile delivery services, there is a big competition, and perhaps we can say a saturation of the market. In other places, certainly like Dubai, there are the competition among restaurants is very high, and the discount culture is out of control. Many will say, where the restaurants are cannibalizing each other by offering deeper and deeper discounts. Other regions or other parts of the region, of course, are not yet that saturated. I'm thinking of the the Saudi market, especially in the provinces, where there is still a lot of potential for new restaurant concepts, and then in turn also for new technology. I think what the pandemic has shown us is that people who have been doing their homework beforehand and who have either taken the time to grow expertise in house in how to run a restaurant successfully and how to use technology successfully, or who have hired such expertise in, those have done better than places that were resting on their laurels. Shall we put it like that?
Thanks, Martin. I think that was a overview of how you have to actually catch up with technology and implement it for it to actually work. And especially the pandemic has shown us that over the past few months, how every sector of the food industry has taken up that voice. So, Tahir, we have noticed an entire shift in consumer behavior around the world, and food industry is no exception. So, what are the network effects that are taking place in this sector, and especially being aggravated by pandemic now? So, tell us about your time at Kareem as well, and how it grew from a ride-hailing and a food app to now an everything app.
Yeah, actually, it sails nicely from what Martin just mentioned about adoption, how all of us had to adopt. We're poor adopters naturally, and a pandemic forced us to adopt. Like my dad never, like, he doesn't even know how to WhatsApp me, and now he's ordering his groceries online. Like he would never do that before. If to that extent we're getting so much forced adoption, you can see the network effects in the market. The signal the market is telling us is this is the future, and even after the pandemic, it's here to stay. People have found it so convenient, and so once they're used to a behavior, and the behavior has shifted. Um, uh, for example, Delivery Hero acquiring InstaShop. That's the signal from the market saying, uh, you're all going to start ordering now, but you're used to it. You're going to order it. It's convenient. So this forced adoption, I think, is speeding up the technological trend. And then, I mean, let's say how Kareem fits into it. Martin had said that both Martin and Mohammed had alluded to a lot of tech players jumping in and competing, and the place starting to get crowded. I mean, it's not as if it wasn't crowded before already. We already had a slew of food delivery aggregators, for example. And then someone like Kareem can come in because a company like that are like, we're a ride hailing company. We have the logistical backbone. We can just add a layer for food delivery now. We just add the intelligence for food delivery, but we have the assets, we have the capital, we have the access to logistics and captains and cars and bikes. It makes sense for them to move in. And even with that, imagine they still have to fight for market share from the likes of Zomato and Deliveroo and Uber Eats. When I was in Dubai a few months ago, when I've just shifted to the UK, I think I saw my 7th delivery competitor launch in Dubai, and I couldn't keep up. I don't even remember the name of it. And there was billboards everywhere saying, join our platform. And for the consumer, it must be so overwhelming. Like they go on the app store, there's 8 to choose from now. So I think that's a very interesting thing. Like where's it with the competition increasing at the lower end of food tech? Where will it go next is going to be a very interesting thing to watch. I think so. So that one for me as an analyst is hard to guess where the direction of that will go. But you have the highly capitalized competitors like Deliveroo or Kareem. They're staying in the game, and they're staying in for a long game. And for Kareem, it makes sense, right? Once they've got ride hailing, then they get food, and all the food delivery apps, for example, shifted to adding groceries. That was really the smart thing to do. People like Deliveroo or Kareem offering that you can order essentials within 1 hour to your doorstep. You don't have to step out of your home. So these network effects, I think, are great for the players established in the business who are capitalized. I think it will be a hard time for new competitors who are coming in unless they differentiate in something very specific that they're solving for the customer. And lastly, what I would say in answer to your question about what are other effects that we're seeing because of the pandemic and behavioral shift, is the reason why you see cloud kitchens. It's the reason why many brands are like, I'm closing down my bricks and mortar, or I'm just going to shift offline, because it makes more sense. Let someone else have the risk of capital, of risk of running bricks and mortar and kitchen staff and operations, and let me, the brand owner, run only the brand. I mean, that's what's happened with me, and I'm speaking from experience. Is what's happened with me and Moti Roti. I mean, I had investment from what is now Icon, which is a big player in the region, and I have the advantage of, oh wow, I don't have any risk anymore with bricks and mortar. Let me shift Moti Roti into a pure virtual restaurant. So these are many of the network effects that we're seeing now, and it'll be very interesting to see where our future takes us as businesses and consumers.
Moving on to Martin, now we've already discussed how the pandemic has accelerated everything, especially in the food tech sector. So, what were the trends that you saw prior to the lockdown? And in a growing field of competitors, how can investors actually pick the right horse?
Right. So I mean, trends we saw before the lockdown. Of course, even then, delivery was on the rise, and there was more focus on the last mile delivery. There was also then, of course, a trend towards customization and to giving people more choice without necessarily overwhelming them. So that's what I thought. And of course, there was a trend which continues as well, the whole sustainability and avoiding food waste, where again, food tech can play a big role. And I just wanted to sort of add to what Tahir said. We have to be, I think, mindful that food tech isn't just online food ordering or online food delivery. Okay, there is much more to that, and you know, like what Mohammed also mentioned at the beginning, drone delivery and 3D printing of food. Never mind whether you now want to have your steak 3D printed or not, but I mean these are exciting technologies. Again, I feel that we as an industry have a habit of hanging ourselves up on disasters. Now the focus is on delivery apps and on this last mile, because no, they charge this much commission and I need it for my business. So that kind of takes away the energy to actually look further ahead and say, hang on, what else is coming? Okay, once we have drone delivery, never mind all of this. How many riders do I need and how much do I have to pay for the rider? Okay, because drones won't take commission, right? So I just wanted to add to that. And I think this also ties in where we should encourage investment in. Right? I personally don't think we should yet we should encourage yet more investment into another delivery aggregator or another food ordering aggregator, unless, like Tahir said, it is very niche. It could be. I mean, for example, there could be a one delivery aggregator that only does vegetarian and vegan food. This is just a niche I'm thinking of. Why you would want to do that is a different story. But we should encourage investment that takes a longer term view. We've been talking about drones for years now. I know you've seen drones fly, but I have yet to see drone delivery. Yeah, Costa Coffee did it once as a stunt, but here is something that can really be helpful on many ways. Okay, it can be helpful for the restaurants by reducing the commission or the delivery cost. It can be helpful for the customers because it brings the food to wherever you are quickly, and it can also be beneficial for the communities because it reduces the traffic that the bikes and the delivery riders contribute to on the roads. Right. So this is stuff that and again also vertical farming, robotic farming. These are things that we should encourage investment in because they have a much higher benefit for society as a whole. Robotic farming, vertical farming, this can address food shortages that we have. It can make our region and our countries more self-sufficient in terms of food, and of course it means that also ingredients are then available locally and don't need to travel in from afar. So I think that is where, from an investment perspective, we should focus on.
So moving on to Tahir, up until COVID-19, investors would evaluate startups from a customer acquisition point of view. But once the pandemic hit, the investors have changed their perspective and are looking at the path that leads to profitability. How can food tech startups cater to this shift in investor mindset?
I think this is a super investing question of the moment right now. And we have the example of WeWorks as the cautionary tale of valuing something very high and putting a lot of investment into it and not seeing where the end of the road of profitability is. So therefore, all the mentality of investors shifting to, okay, who of you are going to make money for me now? Who's going to make profit? This now I will focus on the question of, when we say food tech, I will speak specifically about food delivery. What can food delivery aggregators and cloud kitchens do to make their investors feel confident that they're going to make profit? I think the only way they can make money right now, players in this space, is either become so popular with a customer base that they can rent out ad real estate on their app. You sell a banner, you sell a position, you sell a ranking. You encourage discounts from the restaurant. So they're not, when you see 50 buy one get one free on Zomato want to push the restaurant to be giving the discount, not them giving the discount, because they have to have profitability. So there's pressure on the restaurants to give discounts to get visibility and sales on the app. I would also say this might encourage delivery fees. This one is hard to call. Maybe what happens in a few years that there's a ton of players right now all fighting for one pie in delivery, but whoever has the largest war chest is the one who's still going to be left standing. So all the smaller players, either they get acquired or they die out because they run out of they run out of capital. So when you only have a few players left, then they've got all the market share and they can dictate, okay, I'm going to bump the price. Now I have you all on my platform. I'm going to bump the price and I need to make profit and I'm going to make the delivery fee higher. I think that's the only places I see profitability. The thing is, if these are the drivers of profitability for investors, then I see that motivating a bad habit. Perhaps that motivates food delivery aggregators and cloud kitchens to only serve best big brands and big corporations, let's say a Nando's or a Pizza Hut, and they're motivated because they have sales and they have the geography to be able to run big discounts, and that means the smaller entrepreneur or the smaller restaurants are less attended to. But this makes a very interesting case, not exactly related to your question, but this makes a very interesting case that if we are motivated by profitability for aggregators to concentrate on their best and biggest clients, then you have a space for a small food tech player to come in and say to the smaller players, hey, come off this platform. I've solved it. They're not looking after you. I've solved this for you. I mean, maybe that's something that Mohammed's going to end up doing. I'll be happy to see his presentation. But yeah, this is a very interesting thing to watch now because of this thing for drive for profitability.
You're right about that, Tahir, because profitability is now in question because of, before the pandemic, I think more of the investors were looking at it from the mindset of growing and getting more customers. But now, like that slight shift towards wanting to make more profits in the companies that they invest in has taken a rise. So we can actually talk about how virtual kitchens and food trucks are on the rise. So, Mohammed, the competition is not on the same level, I'm guessing, because of now the new entrants like food trucks and virtual or cloud kitchens taking place. So, as an owner of a restaurant for the past 7 years and someone who likes to dine out often, what challenges have you faced during the pandemic?
Well, the challenges are many. Now, even the challenges existed pre-COVID and obviously exist during COVID, and no doubt will continue to exist post-COVID. But pre-COVID, there was already a slowdown. The general financial situation leading consumers to simply spend less was very dominant. VAT and subsidy cuts played a role in this as consumers simply became a percentage poorer, big percentage poorer. And fears over time on other financial burdens made people just want to hold on to whatever they have. They just by default became more price conscious. And now with the COVID-19 coming into the picture, things just got worse and worse. The biggest challenge was during the lockdown, really, where no dine-in services were allowed. And this represented one of the biggest challenges for our business model, as well as many others, where about 90% of the business was really from dine-in. And delivery wasn't a big part of the business. And it's not something that you can just remodel overnight. You don't change your business model overnight. It's a whole new ballgame with a whole different strategy. Pricing, marketing, logistics, they all come into play when you're talking about delivery business. And especially in that world, you really are directly competing with small takeaway restaurants, food trucks, cloud kitchens, and all of these have a fraction of your overheads. Then you have the home chefs, another growing trend, which in itself has led to platforms just dedicated to them. And everyone's fighting for the same customer. All of them is basically offering the same thing. And this same customer that everyone is trying to chase is also cooking at home because of hygiene fears and outlet delivery issues, concerns. So all in all, it's one big challenge. But by default, the fact that everyone had to turn to delivery and cater to that, otherwise closed down, led many like us to look to the delivery platforms with more attentive eyes and more aggressive way. But in again, this is another whole market where you're competing with many, and you need to develop your right strategy for this channel. Because if you want to get more exposure within each of these delivery platforms, you have to spend. You have to get more exposure. Now, the other challenge with the delivery platform is that they take a big chunk of your margin. So when they take a big chunk of your margin and you want to try and get more exposure, then that chunk becomes even bigger, because basically whatever discount or whatever offer you're giving is compounded with your commission that you're offering, that you're paying to the delivery provider. But at the same time, it's a challenge to invest in your own delivery team because it's a big cost, it's a big process, getting drivers, investing in bikes, managing the process, it's a big headache. So the options were very limited. But then we saw the emergence of a lot of these third-party on-demand logistics providers. And this didn't really exist much before. But all of a sudden, we've seen a player appear out of nowhere almost daily. And this meant that we can then invest in our own online platforms. But again, that there was a challenge in that because it's a process that you have to build, you have to invest in the technology, and then you must have a database. If you don't have that database, you have to build it, and that takes time. So again, it's not something that you can remodel overnight. And most restaurants didn't have the thought or invest in customer databases like us, honestly, that it was something that was somewhat neglected, as there wasn't a proper system. Customer loyalty was another challenge. Now, when you have a dine-in customer, you can engage and in ways build that customer loyalty. When it's a delivery customer who's invisible to the restaurant, it's very difficult because in most cases, they're very offer-driven. And that's a default that has happened over time and with the given financial situation. But since the opening of dine-in services, in Bahrain's case, only October last year, many challenges remained and new challenges appeared. But the right balance between revenue and operational costs was really needed to be worked out in a very efficient way to ensure that we have enough cash flow. And that meant many adjustments such as business working hours, smarter staff shift allocations, staff headcounts. These all played a key role into how we managed the business. Almost actually 40% of respondents in a UAE study indicated staff cost was a key concern during the pandemic. Because basically, how do you pay for that? Rent, electricity, for example, is a fixed cost that you can't really control unless you have a great landlord who's willing to sign off on a lot of waivers, which isn't very common. But the pandemic also came with other challenges that Ministry of Health regulations came into place, such as social distancing, for example. It meant basically that you have less tables, you have less space for your dining customers, which means that you obviously have less business. You can't really tell your customers leave, or you have a time limit. Other challenges came in with costs, disposable material, which was just another cost, whether it's plates, cups, all of this is another cost that you really can't pass on to the customer. So your margins are going cut again. But there were opportunities. Things did open up, such as digital menus now came into play, and people are more open to the idea that I don't need to hold something in my hand anymore. That I can view a digital version of the menu. But to sum up, we see we're going to be seeing a lot of changes in business models, leaner operations, more specialized cuisines rather than big menus, more address on healthy food trends, investment in databases, smarter marketing, product innovation, maybe even mergers. Now, of course, other than what Tahir touched on with the ghost kitchens and dark kitchens that are all popping up, but these are the trends or the solutions that many will be adapting. But post-COVID, and now when places are opening, I do expect to see a lot of return to the dine-out life. Some studies have already shown keenness among the respondents to resume immediately their dine-out experiences. I see it already. We are all human after all. We like to go out, socialize, see faces, especially after a long isolation. And as the vaccine spreads and we all build our immunity, I believe that the rush towards dine-in will return. And this is what restaurants need to prepare for, along with effective health and safety procedures. We may not be able to afford the same headcounts as before, or the same range of products we had, or the marketing budgets that we had, but we all need to find ways to service our customers better and ensure that their satisfaction using smarter solutions, strategies, and no doubt technology. Most importantly, we need to think ahead of that pandemic phase and learn from our weaknesses and fix them. We have a long way to go, but I see it's coming.
Mohammed, you very well highlighted the challenges that most restaurant owners like yourself faced during the pandemic and how that has helped you adapt to the post pandemic phase. I'd like to direct this question to Martin and Tahir. Brands today actually need to bring a whole new perspective in a particular category to stand out, and that is not easy. So, what challenges do you see the entire food and beverage industry encounter? If Mohammed
You,
or anybody you'd like to go ahead with it.
you want to go first, Martin?
I'm trying to point to you, but I'm actually pointing in the other direction, so I don't know how I have to turn around. No, by all means, do go first.
Okay, I think this is really a key question for owner operators and restaurant owners in the current world. If we are coming up in the delivery world with something similar to a Netflix problem, what people call a Netflix problem. You go on an app and there's endless scrolling of restaurants, and it just takes forever to choose one to order delivery from. And this is a consequence of shifting to cloud kitchens, lower barrier to entry, and even successful restaurants who are delivery only. For example, a burger place suddenly realizes a lot of people are ordering pizza in an area, and they also add a virtual pizza brand out of the same kitchen. So imagine, especially during a coronavirus pandemic, a huge uptake of virtual delivery restaurants, and all competing with each other, and all proliferating this discount. We have weaned consumer to a discount culture, and I don't know how much brand loyalty you have versus the old days. And to give you an example of what I mean to support that, imagine just a few months ago, my own brand, I'm doing many campaigns on social media, I'm doing my own promotions, etc. One day I saw, suddenly I had a great day in sales. I had double my sales. I was like, wow, my social media campaign is working. It turns out Deliveroo accidentally just put me on the 30% off banner. They did it by mistake, and it just invited people who wanted a discount. That's the only explanation why I got so many sales. It's not that my food is amazing. It's just that people just need to save money. And my brand got visibility. So I think we have a Netflix problem to deal with. And it would be very interesting to know what are the possible solutions as we enter that world of post-discount and everyone fighting for visibility in social media and app space.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree to the whole sort of Netflix issue, okay? But the key, I believe, is that operators in particular, and we're addressing the bulk of the operators here, which are smaller operators that make up the numbers of the outlets. They need to understand that you cannot be everything to all people. Okay, and to some extent that might play in favor of the cloud kitchens, because I can then launch another concept in the cloud without diluting my actual dine-in concept, and that's fine. But a lot of what I see is that a lot of people now jump on this cloud kitchen bandwagon because it seems the thing to be. Okay, whereas I think people really need to take a step back and see what is a restaurant. And a restaurant is a place where people come to have food. But if I just wanted to have food, I could also order delivery. So why do I go to a restaurant? I go to a restaurant for the service, and I go to a restaurant for the personality. I go to a restaurant for the personality of the people that work in this restaurant. Okay, and that is one thing. So we need to invest in training, and we need to invest in making sure that our rank and file understands why people are coming to us. This is number one. And the other thing is that we actually need to understand our customers, and that's something where the aggregators and where the cloud kitchen operators are very, very good at. They're good at looking at data and filtering the data to understand who orders what, when, where, why, so that I can say, next Thursday at 5 o'clock in this location, what's going to be the most popular dish? And somebody who runs a delivery aggregator is going to tell me it's going to be pizza, or it's going to be butter chicken, or it's going to be whatever it is, because they know. So restaurants need to get a lot better in finding out who their customers are, and then engaging these customers in a more customized manner, not treating them all the same type of thing. And that will also then go to help with the whole discount culture. There are places out there who do not discount, and what still makes them successful is that A, they have a very good product, B, they have very good service, and C, they really try to understand their customers and to get their customers to spread the word for them, rather than yet running more Facebook AdWords or Google AdWords. They're getting their customers to spread the word for them in their communities. So it creates this ripple effect that makes people aware, and that makes people can come to this restaurant because they see here are real people going to a restaurant for reasons that I can understand. So I think that's something that, to some extent, we actually need to take a step back and get these things right. And of course, again, this is where technology can help. It can certainly help these days restaurant operators to understand and filter data much better. And whether that is advertising data or whether it is data from customers that are coming in, is neither here nor there. It can help these restaurant owners and operators to understand to spot trends before they happen, essentially.
That's so funny. I actually thought me and Martin will disagree on this topic, and I'm firmly with this. I'm firmly with this point that the best marketing for a restaurant, especially in this present day, the best marketing is its product and its service. If you nail that, all the other things are nice on top of it. The social media campaign, the discount, the marketing campaign, they're nice things to have to bring in the customer, but you have to be so good in a world where people are generally becoming quite good in general at delivering a delivery product. You just have to be very, very good, and you have to be like this is really a question for very passionate restaurateurs, very passionate owner operators who care about what they make and who they make it for, and learning, as Martin said, getting the data on who buys my stuff and why do they buy it and how can I get more of them, because they are really the biggest drivers of sales. The advocate, the evangelist, the word of mouth, there's nothing more powerful than that.
But look, I mean, I would have liked to disagree with you more, of course, but you didn't really make the points that I could disagree with. However, I would like to point out this, and this is probably not going to be a super popular opinion, but here we go. Every restaurateur that I've ever met who had an issue getting people into his or her outlet said, look, somebody just needs to come here once and eat, and they will love it, they will come again. This is not how it works. This is number one. And secondly, there are places out there that, in my humble opinion, should not exist because they are run by people who have no idea how to run a restaurant. Just because you can cook and you like food doesn't mean you can also run a restaurant.
Absolutely.
It is not maybe our job as such, but it ought to be somebody's job to then point out, and that could be also a tech vendor. I'm not trying to a lot of tech vendors I find try and sell their solutions to people, and the goal here is the sale. Okay, we should be interested in a partnership that makes both sides successful. And if there is a restaurant that is faulty for reasons outside the tech adoption, okay, then that ought to be pointed out. Look, I mean, it makes no sense to open yet another insert brand or insert type of cuisine. A restaurant of which there are already 10 in your neighborhood. I mean, most recently, I was speaking to somebody. There is a Vietnamese restaurant that opened on top of another Vietnamese restaurant, and within 400 meters of yet another Vietnamese restaurant. I mean, what are you like? Do you not look at the market? Why are so few McDonald's restaurants closing all over the world? The reason why so few of them is closing because they spend an inane amount of time doing the market studies and looking at footfall and looking at the take up and whether a location is good or isn't good. I'm not saying we all have to be like McDonald's, but we need to get a little bit more professional in many ways about this thing. And we also have to get rid of the idea that any one particular thing, and whether that is social media marketing or whether that is technology, can fix all problems, because it won't. It can help overcome challenges if we like, but there is no such miracle solution out there to fix everything at the same time. Huh?
Well said.
Well said, both Tahir. I think nobody would disagree with any of the points you made, and I think all the challenges that you've mentioned and the opportunities are exactly just that. The world has become scary for a lot of the food operators, and the fact that basically your margin just continue to go down more and more, whether it's through delivery providers or whether it is through these discounts, the non-stop discounts, which actually a lot of research shows doesn't generate so much business because some recent studies show that maybe only about 10% of their businesses comes through these discounts. So it is something that unfortunately we have to apply in a lot of the segments. But apparently it's not a very productive one. Obviously, it does kill loyalty altogether. But solutions need to come about, and technology will definitely play a big role.
Sorry, Mohammed, it's not clear. There's an echo, slight echo.
Well, I think that takes my part anyhow. I hope that last bit was heard. I'll hand over to you, Risha.
It was a wonderful discussion, what Tahir and Martin and Mohammed had. But I think we've addressed the evolution, we've addressed the opportunities, and we've also touched upon the challenges. Dime is a startup in the food tech space, and it is looking to address some of these challenges. So, could you run us through how Dime could be the game changer in this space, Mohammed?
Sure. Just want to make sure the screen is clear. So basically, we've talked about a lot of different opportunities, a lot of technologies that are out there, that are getting out there, and still, we have a long way to go. With Dine, basically, it came about through different type of problems and solutions that I encountered personally, that I spoke to other owners and managers have encountered. And also, basically for everyone who really loves to dine out, like myself, this is also something that I believe would be useful. Everyone else in the market right now, especially we spoke about all the delivery platforms, are very focused on delivery. And yes, during the COVID period, that's where basically all the tech players were really talking about, or everyone was focused on. But now with people going out more, and hopefully the rest of the world as well, I just heard New Zealand, for example, has just declared basically COVID-free environment, and basically everyone's going out again. So hopefully the rest of the world will come to that soon. But basically, witnessing the world in general evolving with technology and how they play a bigger role in everyone's lives, and seeing the many pain points a restaurant goes through, as well as the customer experience challenges. I wanted to do something a little bit different, and what we tried to do is develop something that's more focused on dine-in rather than delivery. So we looked at a lot of the challenges that a restaurant faces, and restaurants struggle to maintain a high waiters headcount, and now more than ever with COVID, with high costs, staff costs, it's always a big challenge. It's always been a big challenge, and now it's even bigger. Restaurants at some point of time, because of the lack of the right numbers, sometimes lose customers because no one took the customer's order fast enough. And this is something that obviously existed pre-COVID a lot more than it did now, with the number of customers being a lot higher in dine out. But as the world continues to go back to the normal life, this will tend to become another issue again. Waiters just in general didn't have enough time to upsell to customers. And we may continue to see this issue challenge, given that the number of staff may have become fairly reduced in a lot of the places that we visit out right now in the countries. Again, customers may get angry even if their bill took too long. Something as simple as bringing their bill may take a lot longer than it normally would, especially on a busy day or on a weekend. Customers sometimes may fear that the difficulties around having all their orders coming in at the same time. A restaurant may struggle to bring them all at the same time during lunch, for example. Another point or another difficulties that the restaurant has faced is maintaining a proper customer database, and this is a challenge because database do cost money. They do cost a proper process, a proper system, and now we've noticed that in some places where they were able to create their own online platform, they've realized that they didn't have their database to get it going. So having that database in place is always going to be basically a valuable thing to have. Now, lengthy and costly process of preparing printed menus. Now, yes, printed menus now during this current time is something less of a problem, because obviously with the restrictions that are set by the different health regulators. But it's always been a challenge. It will be possibly become a challenge again in the future, again, as things retake normal life. But many have also switched to tablets, which again are a cost for a restaurant, where tablets tend to break and close. And now we've seen a lot of the movement towards the scan the QR code and basically view the menu on your phone. But there has been an involvement, and there will continue to be an involvement with these difficulties. Again, difficulties and the cost of updating your customer with your latest news and marketing your offers and promotions. As we previously touched on, these challenges it's always a challenge to get your offer or word out there, and you need to find a way to stand out and find an easy and cost-effective way to reach your customers. Maintaining your customer loyalty has always been a big challenge, and in the past we've seen so many different type of loyalty programs and schemes. Some even as basic as a restaurant card, where basically you get a different a stamp every time you visit, and eventually it's evolved into different type of applications where you earn points and so on. So, but it's always a challenge to get the right loyalty program all built into one system that basically really works for you. And now social distancing being another big challenge, where basically you simply have less space, less tables that you can cater to. So in a quick summary, dining staff shortage is a big challenge. Cost of missing staff, it costs a lot to fill in that gap. There's a lot of opportunity lost in upselling your customer. There's a lot of opportunity lost in making sure that you don't miss out on a customer. There's a lot of lost opportunity in getting customers returned back to you again. Table seating obviously being another challenge. Database management software costs money. The cost of loyalty, cost of menus, whether even if it is a digital menu nowadays, whether it's on a tablet. Marketing and communication costs. All of these are challenges that restaurants now face, costs that face. And this is where basically Dine is coming to, and is trying to address some of these problems through a simple platform that basically allows a user to make his orders on different occasions while he's at the restaurants or before the restaurant. And also for the restaurant to be able to have one tool that basically handles multiple sections, multiple issues such as orders, database, marketing, and so on forth. I'll share with you a quick video that just summarizes some of the features of Dine. So just to summarize, with Dine, basically, it's a platform where a restaurant can receive all type of customer orders, whether it is for dine-in, whether it's for pre-ordering, or whether it is for any other type of delivery. It's also a platform where basically the restaurant can maintain his customer database. He can run marketing promotions. He can communicate with his customers. He can have his own built-in loyalty program and a little small entertainment solution that basically caters to dine-in customers. So just to take you a quick run through, this is an overview of basically the restaurant panel as well as the mobile application. Now, usually when basically a user signs up, he fills in his details to build his customer profile, and that customer profile becomes part of the restaurant database once the user makes an order at that restaurant. So in a way, you'll be able to determine basically as a restaurant, what's your customer profile from a quick look. The digital menu solution is basically a given. Now, digital menus are growing and becoming a critical part of a restaurant business. So this is a solution basically that lets you update your menu easily, and it appears automatically on the customer's mobile phone. The pre-order function simply is a new solution that takes basically booking to another level. So instead of basically booking your table, this is really booking your meal. You basically choose whether what time you're dining in, and basically you choose your menu item, you pay for it, and you just arrive and find your food ready on a particular table. So reservation in a way is taken to the next level. Ordering in, basically, rather than having to wait for anyone, basically you choose your table number, you choose your item, you order it, and voila, it's served in by one of the dining staff. Delivery is just another function, basically, where basically any restaurant who has their own delivery team can just use this function. So it's simply basically a marketplace. Promotional campaigns are basically an opportunity where basically the restaurant can communicate directly with his database and provide in whatever offers that he may have, whether it's discount based or basically if it's a buy one get one offer, or if it's a points based system. And the restaurant will have an easy way to click and choose his start date, end date. So it's a full marketing tool. Announcements, again, there's a similar tool, but basically related to non-promotional offers. So if you have a new chef, you have a change in working hours, you have any particular update that you want to communicate to your customers, again, this is a tool. You just send through the thing, push notification appears on the customer phone immediately. Loyalty points is a built-in scheme where basically users are able to earn points when they make purchases. And most importantly, we've done it in a way where basically you can only redeem your points if you're at the restaurant. So the whole idea is to draw in traffic to the restaurant. The chat feature is a little fun feature. We all know everyone likes to socialize, so we created a chat room for every restaurant. Now you can only join that chat room if you've ordered from that restaurant. So in a way, it's an exclusive chat room for every restaurant. And then it's a place where people can talk, chat, and just basically make new friends. And the whole idea is really that we're bringing in the customers of a restaurant all together in a way to make it more of a friendly environment. So in a nutshell, as a restaurant, the restaurant gets a whole panel that basically is able to receive orders, understand their customer profile, maintain a customer database, run campaigns, announcements, and generate reports and a few other tasks. And most importantly, it's a tool where you can communicate directly all within one place, and it doesn't require any third-party efforts. And to summarize the benefits, basically a contactless menu in all senses. So a user uses his own device, no longer does he need to use anything else, which ends up saving a lot of investment on design, printing, any standard menus, any tablets, and it's very much in line with all the Ministry of Health regulations. And it's just an app on your phone, you don't need to scan anything. Now, if I compare basically what happens with or without Dine, now simply with out dine. Normally, a dining staff would have to seat the customer, take his order, serve, bring him his bill when he's done, and basically he's pretty much out of time. But with Dine, basically it allows saving about almost 50% of the whole process. So this the basically the order taking and the bill payment is basically cut off, and that gives the opportunity for upselling. So basically, the staff has more time to build a relationship with this customer, speak a little bit about the products, try to upsell, and that can alone lead to about another 20% increment in business, which everyone really needs. In addition, by being able to fill in that gap, we are able to save a lot of money for a restaurant that normally would need to hire more staff and fill in that gap. But normally they wouldn't be able to afford it, especially during this time. So basically, we help cut sort of the shortage between, or the ratio between tables to dining staff. Normally, on a general standard is about 4 tables per waiter. Now, what's commonly used is, I mean, it's possibly in some cases 10 to 1, which basically leaves a big gap. The other key feature is saving time through pre-ordering function. Now that alone basically helps with especially with the social distancing, limiting the number of tables in most restaurants right now. So with the restaurant's table turnaround time, we can be a lot faster and hence increase your revenue. It also saves a lot of minutes, almost 8,300 minutes per year of precious time for a regular outgoing person who usually dines and is in need of that little saving time. So money is also being saved through different issues, through the database software, database feature, the customer communication tools, the loyalty feature tools. So again, we're clubbing all of that and saving a lot for the restaurant. In summary, it's a product in an ever-growing industry. It's an industry that has really shown and set the way for a big customer appetite for more innovation. They're simply, as a user, are expecting more and more. Right now, there's limited competition as of now, but COVID-19 has really accelerated the need for products like Dine, and some are popping up here and there. With contactless menus through QR codes, restaurants are now understanding the benefits of doing digital, and especially the customers themselves are getting more and more used to it. But very few are really capturing a share of the dine-in market. Everyone is focused on delivery. So again, this is an opportunity. There's a clear need for such a product, and it does have a low entry OPEX and a very high return on investment. So thank you, Jal. I will discontinue.
Thank you, Mohammed, for sharing this presentation. And Dine seems quite interesting with a lot of twists to the regular delivery and ordering platform. So any closing remarks from any of you gentlemen? Please go ahead if you have anything to say to wind up the session.
Well, if I may, since I've been talking on and on for some time, let me just add. I mean, what I would like to say, if you are in food and beverage, then don't wait for things to get better. Prepare and benefit from the new solutions popping up. Let technology help you. Don't be hesitant to use it. Not everything will work for everyone, but just like also Martin has touched on, just because it didn't work the first time doesn't mean it doesn't work the second time, and it doesn't mean it'll not work at all. But you just got to give it a try. And if you're an investor, look for new solutions that address problems not yet fully addressed.
True. I fully second that. You cannot underestimate the importance of failing forward, right? That is to say, there is no shame attached to making a mistake, so long as you learn from it. Of course, if you make the same mistake 2 or 3 times, then there is shame to be attached, okay, because you are clearly not of the right persuasion. No, but failing forward, super important. And then, look, it's also time to perhaps get some of that. By refocusing, we should get some of that passion back. We should get some of the excitement back of things to come, rather than getting bogged down all too much in the day-to-day issues that we are currently encountering. I think F&B and food tech in the MENA region has a very bright future. We have great markets in that region, a young audience, a tech savvy audience, and I think it can really be, because we also have the infrastructure in many places. It can really be the place where we are setting the global trends when it comes to food tech going forward.
I would just like to add a word of optimism with a note of caution. And the note of caution is that I think we have to be careful in a virtual restaurant world and a post-delivery world. There is a danger of restaurant brands becoming commoditized. And if cloud kitchens, and you can't blame people for going to cloud kitchens or doing virtual restaurants, because you help an operator save so much cost. And if suddenly 10 pizza restaurants are running out of one cloud kitchen, all competing with one another, and it's probably the same chef making it, by the way, the customer can't distinguish anymore brand after brand, and the brand has become commoditized and commercialized, and you dilute what used to be on the high street a mom and pop, a beloved mom and pop shop. So I think my note of optimism comes from we've all talked about what food tech players will do, what investors will do, and I think it's down back to the entrepreneur and the chefs to innovate. And you guys are the ones who must differentiate in a busy and crowded world. And whoever can differentiate and allow customers to access dishes that are highly specialized and enjoyable and come from their grandma's recipe or from this ethnicity. We look for innovation and the future of food from there in a highly commoditized world.
Thank you, dear panelists, for being part of this wonderful session, and we hope that the audience benefited from your vast expertise and knowledge. Thank you all for joining us, and we'd love for you to be a part of our community, and you could join us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.